Hello, hello, and welcome to another beautiful day. Isn't it great to be here? Thanks so much for taking some time and spending your morning with me. If this is your first time to catch me on a broadcast, or if this is your first time to even see me or know who I am, my name is Ronee Harden. By trade, I'm an editor. I am a writing coach. I'm a content writer. I love helping new authors really polish their craft, to tell their stories, share them with the world. More importantly, I love just hanging out and having some coffee with you. So I hope wherever you are, if you're watching this live, please pop in, say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from. If you're watching this via replay, thank you for coming back and taking the time to catch up. I hope you have a mug of something. Today, my featured mug is from a beautiful place that is a garden. It was opened. I don't know if you can see that on the, let's see if I can get it in the camera just right. There you go. Opened in 1863. But this mug is from a beautiful place that I visited that I hope to go back and see pretty soon. It's called Kew Gardens in England, and it is home to specimens of plants from around the world and also some of the most endangered plants. And it's beautiful, beautiful. Just walkways and walkways and walkways of a beautiful garden with all kinds of exotic plants. And so they also have what they call the temperate house at Kew, which is like a big sort of greenhouse, if you will, that you get to walk in and see plants from around the world from a more tropical setting. But I love, and whoever designed this mug did such a great job, right? So whenever I get this mug down and I have a cup of coffee, yum. I remember those beautiful walks. In fact, the last time Michael and I were in London and England, it was 2019. It was the year that I went through breast cancer. And then we had the lovely pandemic. And now we have this year, right? Now we have war on the other side of the world. Scary war, right? Didn't think all of that would be happening. So we're hoping, we're dreaming that we can go to London next year. We're going to be taking a really great trip this summer, and I cannot wait. But I'm not going to tell you just yet because you'll understand why it's so amazing. And I can't wait for you to follow along with us on our journeys. So how are you doing this morning? Pop in and say hello. Tell me where you are. Good morning, Sherry. How are you? Good to see you here. So, last weekend, we went through daylight saving time. Remember, folks, remember. Oh my gosh. It's daylight saving time. Daylight saving time. We are saving time. We're not savings time. We're saving time. So it's daylight saving time. So today, dun, 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 it's Saturday, March 19th, and tomorrow is officially the first day of spring. But you know what? I don't know about you, where you are, if the temperatures are starting to get warmer. Oh, and it's time to pull out those little spring cardigans and some skirts. And I wore my first open-toed shoes yesterday. I went to the nail salon, had some time at the end of my week for some self-care, so that was great. But I wore sandals because it was 78 degrees here. I think we're going to have another 78-degree day here in Dallas. But I hope wherever you are, it's starting to get pretty because tomorrow is the first day of spring, which is why we had to spring our clocks forward. Now, here's something interesting. Congress, officially, they passed a bill. God love them. They passed a bill. Had nothing to do with, helping the supply chain or anything like that. No. we unanimously passed a bill. We can't do anything about voting rights or, you know, helping people who are suffering or making healthcare more available for people or lowering prescription drug costs. No, we unanimously passed a bill that makes daylight saving time permanent in 2023. So, what does that mean? Well, right now, we've moved our clocks forward. I know a lot of people complained about losing an hour, blah, blah, blah. But do you know why we changed the clocks? Do you know why we adjust the time? Has to do with the equinox, has to do with the spring equinox, which happens tomorrow. So if you're not really sure why we do this or what it means, let me kind of show you something here because I think this will help. It has to do with our circadian rhythm. It has to do with the hours of daylight in our days when we come to this time of the year. It has to do with the Earth's tilt. So we have now tilted from being away from the sun to now we're tilting toward the sun. That's why the rays seem hotter. It's not that the rays have gotten any closer or farther away. The Earth is always in orbit around the sun at the same place. It's just our tilt. Our tilt has to do with, and it's amazing. Isn't it amazing that our Earth, our globe that's floating around in space, tilts at an exact 23.5-degree angle, either toward or away from the sun? Isn't that interesting? So tomorrow is the actual official day when the equinox, where we are exactly straight and we have approximately the same amount of daylight time. But, we have between the sunrise and the sunset, it's almost exactly 12 hours, give or take a few minutes. It's not exact. But if I were to check my app, my Weather Channel app, and see what time the sun rises and sets tomorrow, you will discover, okay, so you can go to your app, right? I use the Weather Channel. I go to my today, I click it, and it tells me at the bottom, right? I don't know if you could see that. It tells me at the bottom where when my sun rises and sets, and also the moonrise. Let me put that in closer a little bit. Can you see that? I don't know if you could see that very clearly. So tomorrow, okay, let's look at tomorrow. So tomorrow, the sun is going to rise at 7:30 a.m. and set at 7:38 p.m. where I am. Now that's going to change depending on where you are in the United States. Those times are going to be different. But the sunrise and the sunset will be almost exactly the same. And then our days start getting longer until we reach the summer solstice, right? That is going to be the longest day, the longest time we have daylight hours. And then we start the turn back to the fall equinox when we are starting to tilt back the other way. And then the winter solstice is the last day that we have the shortest hours and we start back the 4 seasons of our planet. So it's really, really awesome. So tomorrow is the first day of spring. I don't know about you, but I am getting, gardeny. I can't wait. I want to go to the nursery downtown that has all of the flowers. I want to get more flowers. I want to start planting flowers. Do you get a little gardeny when the time comes? Hi, Milo. Come on in. Here's Milo, right? Just in time for the broadcast. So a lot of people start doing that. So we're going to be talking in the upcoming weeks about spring cleaning. Next weekend is spring cleaning weekend. And we're going to talk all about that. I'm going to talk about different books, different how-to books, different things that are coming out about how to improve your gardening, how to cook from your garden, different DIY things, right? We start getting interested in home improvement projects. Kitties and dogs, pets start getting excited about being outdoors more. They love the outdoor time. Milo has been enjoying the time in the sunshine. right? And so we get a little angsty. We want to get out there and do some stuff, right? Right, Milo? But as always, we start with a great mug of coffee. So thanks for being here. Always a pleasure. So, did anybody forget we are still in the season of Lent? Remember that? We're in the season of Lent, the 40 days of prayer and fasting. Have we really fasted? I um what was I fasting? I forgot what I was fasting. Oops. Yikes. I think I'm going to have to repent for that. But it's the 40 days of Lent that we contemplate and think about the things that we want to do in our life, where our life is, and the importance of the role that God plays in that, right? We're going to be coming up on the Easter season, so that's going to be an awesome time to celebrate, right? We celebrate the resurrection power of Christ in our lives. So we talk about spring cleaning. We talk about somehow this time of year is when people start really sort of, that's when we clean out our garages and we clean out our closets and we clean out things. But I also want to challenge you that we do things like clean out our email inbox, clean up our social media, or how about cleaning up and tightening our writing, our way of communication, so that it's clear and concise and powerful, right? So we're going to be talking a lot about those kinds of things over the coming weeks. I hope you will join me because, as you know, I love, love, love to hang out with you and have coffee and also share what's going on in the world. So, daylight saving time. How is this going to affect you? Well, I want to show you something because I thought this was interesting. I came across a news article that really explained the whole daylight saving time thing, right? And what's going to happen, because here's the thing. We tried this before. Yes, we did. We tried it during a time probably before some of you were even born, but those of us who are my age, my peers, we probably remember this time. But back in the 70s, we tried to do daylight saving time and we didn't like it. We ended up not liking it at all. So we changed it. And speaking of, I'm going to change something real quick here so that I can have a clear screen background. There we go. That way it's easy for you to see this. Okay. Let me see. We may have to do it this way. Yeah, there you go. All right. I don't know if you can see that very clearly on your screen. I'm going to try to make it a little bigger on mine. Let's see. Here we go. Boop. Boop. All right. Here it is. See if I can make this a little bigger. Okay, hopefully you can see that on your screen. So this is a map that shows how this is going to affect us when the time change goes into effect. Now, what this means, okay, this is a scale of the time of the latest sunrise of the year if daylight saving time is made permanent. So this means this time period is how late the sun is going to come up. Now, from my friend Sherry up in North Dakota, if daylight saving time is made permanent, you're going to see sunrises from 9 to 9:30, and the northernmost part of North Dakota is going to see sunrises sometimes between 9:30 and 10. Now you'll have hours in the evening, but the mornings are going to be a little bit darker. So as you can see, because of the tilt of the earth, there are certain areas that are going to feel the effects of this. Most of them will not be affected. You're still going to have mornings between 8:30 in some places. I mean, I'm looking at the Texas line and I'm realizing, right here, where does Dallas-Fort Worth fall? Are we going to have mornings between 8:30 and 9 or 8 and 8:30, right? So here's an interesting map, and they talked about how they unanimously passed it to keep it. We tried this in 1974. It worked for 2 years, and then people wanted to go back. Now, here's a a chart that kind of helps you understand when the sunrises might be, right? So the latest sunrise and the earliest sunset. So Atlanta, you'll see a sunrise at 8:43 in the morning. Mind you, imagine these are children going to school. We're all going to work and we'll still be in the dark. Now, we've done that when we've turned the clocks back. However, it's not this late. You know, if you turn the clock back, that would be 7:43 rather than 8:43, right? You see the difference? And some of the sunsets, okay, so depending where you are. Now, for example, Indianapolis, your sunrise is going to be at 9:06 a.m. And most people are going to like the later times with the sunset. Now, I'm like that too. I like a lot of daylight hours because the more daylight hours, the more active I am. I get lethargic and I get sometimes what is called seasonal affective disorder, which is I get more depressed in the wintertime. It's easy for me to get more lethargic and depressed in the wintertime because it's dark. I am a sun baby. I have to have the sunshine. So here's an interesting, and then here's another chart that shows, oh, that's in Washington, D.C. This is an interactive one. Where is it? I want to see. Where is that graphic? It's real. Oh, here it is. Okay. So if you watch this scroll, okay, and you'll note the date right here. Okay. You see the date right up there in the corner. This is going to show you how the sunrises are going to change because of daylight saving time being made permanent. And so you can see the areas that are going to change between 8 and 9, 9 and 10, right? And then earlier, as we move from spring into summer, okay, you notice that the sunrises between 5 and 6 and 6 to 7, right, in the mornings. And then that changes. Notice what happens when we go to the dark, right? 8 to 9, 8. So a majority of the country will be having their sunrises between 8 and 9. Yes, we will adjust, Sherry. I agree. Because it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour. We're going to do just fine. We're going to do just fine. But let's see how many people complain about it after it's made permanent. That, when businesses and schools and everything changes to that time. There's only 2 states that don't participate in daylight saving time. That would be Arizona and the island of Hawaii. Yep. Hawaii. We're way out there in the ocean. We got our own time. We got our own time zone. So, March is the month of Women's History Month, where we honor and celebrate the achievement of women, not only in our country, but in the world. The entire month of March is attuned to, female professionals who are at the top of their game in their fields. And so there is a wonderful website. If you go to womenshistorymonth.gov, there is a wonderful section that offers resources and information. I love going to these sites and looking at the links for teachers because that gives me a lot of insight. If you're the teaching type or if you just want to learn more, I love clicking on those links. So share this with you here on screen. Right? Who are some women in your life that have made a difference? Can you think of them? Of course, your moms, maybe your grandmother. My grandmother was very influential in my life. But there's so many women in our world that have been influential in what they do, the achievements that they have. See if I can get this to show here. There we go. All right. Can you see that okay? I'm going to take this off here and give us a little bit more room. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can make this screen a little bigger. How's that? Is that showing up better on the screen? Let me see. Not bad. Not bad. See if I can change this a little bit. There we go. Right? So Women's History Month, right? And it's hard to think that it's been just under 100 years that women's rights have become a thing, not only in our country but around the world, right? So here we have all under the tab of teachers, we've all kinds of resources, and if you scroll down, you'll see that there's lots of places. I love that the Library of Congress and the National Archives provide access to things like the women code breakers of World War II. We're reading a great book in our book club that is set during the time of World War II. And it's amazing the heroic women who were behind some of the greatest resistance forces during that time. The Rosa Parks primary source set, Women in Science and Technology, a woman's suffrage primary source set, teaching your children about the efforts of women, right? So there's all kinds of articles, things that you can download, things that you can read, right? About what it was like for women to fight for our rights. Look at this, the suffrage map, right? So there's all kinds of great, these are all downloadable PDFs, materials that you can use. If you are a teacher and you are working in the classroom, these are some great resources to have during this month to help teach our young ones about women's history, both here in the United States and around the world. So there's lots of links here you can click on, check on, celebrating. Look, remember the ladies, all of our first ladies, Maya Angelou. What a great woman, what a great author and poet. Here, I'm going to click on that link. Let's look and see what they have. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Ah, Miss Angelou, right? So this is all about her works, the kinds of things that she wrote about, spoke about, wonderful resources that you can use, whether it's in your Bible study group, whether it's in a community group, maybe it's a college classroom, maybe it's just talking with your friends to being a little bit more aware of what's going on in our world and understanding how that world came to be, right? Women in sports, hidden figures, the people behind the story you know. Eleanor Roosevelt and the rise of social reform in the 1930s. You guys, that's less than 100 years ago, you realize that this movement, Their Eyes Were Watching God, another great book by Zora Neale Hurston. She is referred to a lot in the book that we are reading for book club. If you've never read the book, find out more about this. The National Gallery of Art, great female artists, the National Park Service, all kinds of interesting things, right? So it's important. It's important to know and to understand the progress and the impact that strong women have had in our world, the difference they've made, and the stories they tell. So, speaking of great women and great women authors, I've got some great books to share with you, some that just came out in this last week. I'm really excited to read, right? Milo popped right up because he enjoys reading good books too, don't you, buddy? But I'm really excited to read this one. So this is a new book. This is the new memoir by Marie Yovanovitch. If you were keeping up with the news over the last, administration, you know that Marie Yovanovitch was the ambassador to Ukraine. She has an extensive career. She was at the height of her diplomatic career when it all came crashing down. In the middle of her third ambassadorship, a rarity in the world of diplomacy, she was targeted by a smear campaign and abruptly recalled from her post in Ukraine. In the months that followed, she endured personal tragedy while simultaneously being pulled into the blinding lights of the first impeachment inquiry of Donald Trump. It was a time of chaos and pain for her and for the nation. But Yovanovitch was no stranger to instability and injustice. Born into a family that had survived Soviet and Nazi terror, she first saw the corrosive effect of corruption in Somalia while cutting her teeth as a diplomat in the male dominated State Department of the 1980s. She was an eyewitness to the 1993 constitutional crisis in Russia and the deadly street fighting in Moscow. And she rose to the top of her profession in the crucible of the former USSR, where she saw firsthand how Russia adeptly exploited corrupt leaders in neighboring countries. Through it all, Yovanovitch stayed true to herself and to her country. When she made the courageous decision to participate in the impeachment inquiry over the objections of the Trump administration, she earned the nation's respect, and her dignified response to the president's attacks won our hearts. She has reclaimed her own narrative, first with her lauded congressional testimony, and now with this powerful memoir. Really looking forward to reading this. This woman has been through a lot. This woman has done a lot for our country, more than we will probably ever come to know and ever be able to thank her for. So it's in your bookstores now. Pick up a copy. The memoir of Marie Yovanovitch called Lessons from the Edge. Really excited to get into this book. Truly. With everything that's going on, I think it'll shed some light on what we're experiencing now. Another book that I can't wait to get into is this one. I love Angela Johnson. If you have never heard of her, look her up, do some research. You definitely want to check out her Bon Qui Qui episode on Mad TV. It's what kind of shot her into stardom. But she's a wonderful girl. She loves God, but she's also a comedian. You may know Angela Johnson Reyes for her viral sketch Nail Salon, over 100 million views on YouTube, or her beloved Mad TV character Bon Qui Qui. But it's her clean humor and hilarious storytelling that makes her one of the most successful stand-up comedians and actresses of our day. With her razor-sharp wit, Angela recounts funny stories from her journey, from growing up caught between two worlds. Do chips and salsa go with potato salad? To unexpectedly embracing faith. I love Jesus, but I will punch a hoe. I love that. To her many adventures in dating. She may or may not have accepted dates simply for the food. Through it all, Angela transforms from a suburban adjacent kid with Aquanet-drenched hair into a devoted Christian who abstains from drinking and premarital sex, into a mall-famous Oakland Raiders cheerleader, and then an actually famous comedian, traveling the world and meeting people from all walks of life, including Oprah. As she travels the world, Angela has eye-opening experiences, and she morphs from square, rigid Angela into Fungula and learns that she can still ride with Jesus without squashing the other parts of her personality. Angela's stories explore subjects such as navigating your racial identity, finding your place in the world, chasing your crazy dreams, embracing the messiness of an evolving faith, and searching for belonging and meaning. And through her journey, Angela gets closer to discovering her true identity and encourages readers to have the audacity to dream big. Can't wait. She is one of my favorites. I love her. You can follow her on social media at Angela Johnson Reyes. I believe it's Angela Johnson on Instagram, but you can follow her on social media. Look up her Bon Qui Qui sketch on YouTube. It's hilarious. And also her nail salon sketch. Really funny. But she's a great lady. She loves the Lord. And I'm not kidding you. One of the chapters that she has in here. Where are my chapters? Oh, and can I tell you, I love the smell of new books. What is it about the smell of a new book? I absolutely love it. Okay, if you look at chapter 4, I love Jesus, but I will punch a hoe. She said out loud what I was always thinking. I love it. So, Angela Johnson, get a copy of her book. Really funny lady. Cannot wait to read it. I think with the combination of these two books, I'm going to be busy, right? One intellectual, political representative, and then one funny lady. I love her tagline: stories of chola wishes and caviar dreams. But I love when women tell stories. Do you have a story in you? If you do, let me know. I'd love to help you. Another great book that we're reading this month in book club. And if you would love to join my book club, we focus on a book every month. I have a theme going this year. I'm going to be querying my book club members and asking them if they can figure out what the theme is so far, what our central theme of our books have been this year. But we've read some really great books. I love getting deep into a story, especially when it's a story like this, told from two different points of view and time frames. And yet somehow these stories are weaving together. One is told from a location, Paris, 1939. The other one is Montana, 1983. There are two female characters, one named Odile Souchet in France during 1939 until like 1941, 1942. And then we also have Lily, who lives in Montana in 1983 Montana. The story is wonderful. I'm almost, if you see where my bookmark is there, right? So I'm almost to the end. I even put a question into the book club going, who is one who knows? Somebody keeps writing these letters and they're signed one who knows. One who knows. Who is it? I can't figure it out yet. Another book club member said, I'm in chapter 30 and I still don't know. It's wonderful to get to read a great story but this book right here. So this is based on the true story of World War II heroines at the library at the American Library in Paris. This is the story of the brave librarians. And so it's during World War II, but what does Montana 1983 have to do with this? Well, you'll have to join the book club to find out. But if you want to join us, there's still time. Grab a copy of the Paris Library. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at your local bookstore. I bought it as a gift yesterday for a couple of people walked in. They had a stack of paperbacks. I was so happy. Grabbed them right there. Support your local bookstores. Go in and grab. I know Amazon is convenient. I know they have Audible. But check with your local bookstores. A lot of local bookstores are participating in programs for audiobooks. You can get them there and you can still support your local bookstore. But grab a copy of this. This is The Paris Library by Janet Skilsland Charles. Janet she formerly worked at the American Library in Paris, and she also worked with some of the actual librarians who worked there during World War II when Germany invaded France and occupied Paris. Fabulous story, and especially with what's going on in our world today, this book is really timely. Kind of helps give some perspective of what happened then and what's happening now in Ukraine. My heart goes out to the people of Ukraine. We need to help them. We need to stand behind them. I know I've given you all updates about my friend Ronnie Rock, the organization she works for, and I have been working on the book of the president of Orphan Outreach, Mr. Mike Duras. We had a conversation day before yesterday, and we talked about what's going on there and the difficulties that they're having on the ground. So if you would like to help them, if you would like to participate, maybe you've been wanting to help an organization, but you're not really sure who you can support. There's so many groups out there. Believe me when I say this one helps the children. Orphanoutreach.org. Go there to their website. You can click on the links to find out how you can support their work on the ground right now in the Ukraine. They have been able to move, and a lot of their children that they are helping are special needs children. These are children who've been abandoned by their families and who need help because they're unable to help themselves. When I was talking to Mike the other day, he said some of these children can't be transported without an ambulance. So what happens to these children? So they're doing what they can on the ground. They've gotten some of them into Romania, but of course he said, the orphanages there are not that great. But now they are moving some of them to Latvia. The problem is trying to move these children. They have to be accompanied by adults. They can't just have one person take a group of them. They all have to be accompanied by adults. So it's a daunting task. Keeping supplies, food, and water, basic needs for these children is crucial. So if you want to participate, if you want to support, if you want to figure out a way that you can stand with the people in Ukraine and help do something for the children, please go to orphanoutreach.org. Check their links and their updates for what's going on and how you can help. All the money that goes to their organization helps the on-the-ground efforts there at the orphanage. All right. Important that we help those who cannot help themselves during this time. And the stories that will come from this event. History will tell the tales of what happened, how this changed our world, and how this affected the stories of so many people. If you have a story you would like to tell, if you have something that you would like to share and you want just another set of eyes on it, please let me know. It's what I love to do. Maybe you have a story inside of you. As Maya Angelou said, don't let that burden of an untold story go on in your life. Do you have a story you need to get out? You can get it published. You can share it with the world, whether it be in a blog or a newsletter, or maybe you'll take that step and actually walk through the process of publishing your own story. I'm working on one myself. It's about my coffee cup collection and the story of my life told through all the cups I've collected. And I think I have 178 cups. And they all have a story to tell, just like this one, the one from Kew Gardens in England, a beautiful place, right? And so every time I get this mug down and I drink from it, I remember. And inside, it says, some of the world's most endangered plants, the temperate house of Kew, right? Great, there are places in the world that are saving and taking care of things in our world. And so the temperate house at Kew Garden is doing that, right? Love it. So the stories behind my mugs, you'll have to check it out, but I'll keep you posted on how that story is coming along. Let me know about your story. If you want to know more about how you can tell your story, you can contact me right here. You can also join the book club. There's still time. There's still time. Grab yourself a copy of the Paris Library. You can get it on Audible. Catch up with us, right? We are going to have our next discussion. Let me see. Look at my calendar here. We are going to have our next book club discussion on April the 5th. I will be making the announcement of our April book club pick next weekend. And next weekend, we're going to talk about spring cleaning. Spring cleaning. We're going to be about a week into the new spring season. And so we're going to talk about things and ways that we can clean up, tidy up, and create a more effective and efficient lifestyle and enjoy the beautiful weather that's coming, right? The beautiful sunshine, the wonderful temperatures. I hope wherever you are that it warms up nicely, that you get to enjoy some great mornings. And thanks for sharing yours with me. I really appreciate it. If you need any help, let me know right here, RoneHarden.com/contact. And I can't wait to see you next weekend for some spring cleaning. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Remember to share your awesome. You're going to make a difference in someone's life today, and you may not even know it. Get out there and smile. Be kind to one another. And remember, He knows the plans He has for us. Plans to prosper us and not to harm us. Plans to give us a hope and a future. And I'll see you back here next weekend. Take care. Have a great weekend.